Hungarian Folk Tales. Butcher Boy George. Once upon a time, in a land far, far beyond the hills, there lived a youth named Butcher Boy George. You could travel the length and breadth of the land, visit 7 villages, and never find his match. So strong was the boy that he needed no meat cleaver. He could kill a bull with his bare hands. One day, Butcher Boy George decided to bid farewell. So he said goodbye to his father and his mother, and he set out to see the world. He rambled and ambled across the lands, and on the 7th day of his journey, he arrived at the edge of a huge, dark forest. He looked to the left, he looked to the right, to see if perhaps he could espy the glow of a campfire, and indeed, he suddenly saw the shimmer of flames flickering between the trees. He set out towards the fire, but then thought better of it, for he feared that perhaps the fire had been lit by bandits. But hardly had he taken a step, and again the glow of the flames flickered in front of him. Again he turned to the left, he turned to the right, but no matter which way he turned, the shimmer of the campfire always followed his gaze. "Oh," said Butcher Boy George, "come what may, I will not turn away any more like a sheep trying to flee the wolves." And he went straight in the direction of the fire. When he reached the fire, he saw an old woman poking at its coals, trying to kindle their glow. He greeted her. "Good evening, good woman." "Good evening to you, my boy. What brings you to this distant forest?" "I'm searching for lodging, good woman. If only I could find a place to rest my head." "I could give you a place to rest your head, but I must warn you that every night demons come to my house at the first stroke of midnight, and they bring grief to anyone they find." "I do not fear, good woman. I only want a warm bed for the night. The rest is my concern." The old woman mumbled something to herself, blinked with her falcon-like eyes, led the boy to his room, made his bed, and left him there. The boy went to bed, and he soon fell asleep. But he did not sleep long, for at the first stroke of midnight, the demons began knocking at the doors and windows, making such a clatter that the whole house began to shake. Even Butcher Boy John felt frightened by this. Leaping from his bed, he took his stick in his hand and waited to see what would happen. Suddenly, the door gave a mighty creak, a tremendous chest flew into the room, a long walking stick popped out of the chest, wearing a red cap on its end, and lunged at Butcher Boy George. But Butcher Boy George knew a thing or two about demons. He knocked the red hat from the end of the walking stick, the hat rolled under the bed, and as all the demon's strength was held in this hat, the walking stick too quickly took refuge under the bed. So Butcher Boy George leapt out the door, turned to make the sign of the cross on it so that the demon would be trapped, and withdrew to hide out on the porch. Meanwhile, day was beginning to break outside. Cockerels had begun to crow, and the demons returned to their realm. As soon as the demons had departed, Butcher Boy George went into the old woman's kitchen. You cannot imagine the spectacle that awaited him there. The fire was blazing high, and its flames licked at the bottom of a soot-black cauldron of boiling tar. In front of the fireplace, a beautiful young maiden sat stirring the tar and sobbing to herself. "Why are you crying, gentle maiden?" "Oh, my poor soul," the maiden replied. "Alas, I have good reason to sob. I stir this boiling tar for my own weak body." "And who told you to do this?" asked Butcher Boy George. The old woman who took you in, she hired me as a cleaning girl, but she did not need a cleaning girl. In truth, she seeks to make a witch of me. But since I refuse to become a witch, she will burn my body to ashes and dust in this boiling tar." "Fie!" cried Butterboy George. "I will put a stop to this. Do not fear, gentle maiden. Just keep stirring the tar and blowing the coals that they glow red hot beneath the cauldron, for the tar will be the witch's bathwater, not yours." Then suddenly the old witch arrived and she asked the girl, "Has the tar come to the boil?" "It has, old woman, it has." "And you? Do you want to be a witch?" "I do not," answered the maiden. "I ask you for a second time. Do you want to be a witch?" "I do not." "I ask you for a third and last time. Do you want to be a witch?" "And I answer for the third time. I do not." "Oh, you wretched maiden, into the cauldron with you!" But Butcherboy George had heard quite enough. He leapt out from behind the door, took the witch in his hands, spun her in the air, and tossed her into the cauldron of boiling tar. In the blink of an eye, her body sizzled to ash. "And now, gentle maiden, the world is ours," said Butcherboy George. "Come with me, and we shall be man and wife forevermore." The girl wasted no more time, for the brave butcher boy had won her heart. But before they departed, they went to the cellar, where there was enough gold and silver for every village in the land. They gathered as much silver and gold as they could and left the rest, that others might have some too. And together they lived happily ever after.